G'day guys, this is just part 2 of Launch Drive Lights present you Halloween behind the scenes. This is going to be a bit of a run through of some of the electronics following on from my previous video of here. I thought we'd start from my main control box. I do apologise for the wind noise and the shaky camera. So this, like I said, is part of my Halloween light display, which is a small precursor, so to speak, for our Christmas lights display this year. I'm not using all my elements which I'm planning for Christmas. It's been a really good test and opportunity to find some bugs out. Right, this is my main control box, which is normally locked up during the day, stop anyone getting their little fingers in there. Right, we're going to try and point some stuff out. So I'm using the Raspberry Pi as my show computer with my sequences and video and audio loaded on it, which is played via Falcon Pi Player. So then that sends the signal to my network switch for the sequences, and then goes from the network switch into my Falcon F48. Now there's lots of channels, possibly, or outputs which could be used, but I'm only using some of them, as you can see by my only a few of the cables. There's pros and cons to using this type of pixel controller. I'm not going to go into all those sort of boring details, but just to give you an idea, they use differential receiver boards, which has got one located in here, so I can use up to 12 of them off this pixel controller. So then for my differential board, it's just got the 12 volt power supply, and then it can feed out through all the data and power cables out to my props. Now this receiver board is powering just my house outline at the moment, the ones along the planter box and the floodlights. He's going to be using more for Christmas. Another little thing, design feature I've got is I've tried to incorporate all my power boards, which are feeding the 240 volt power supplies out to my power supplies, 12 volt power supplies in my differential receiver board ammo boxes, which I've done a fairly comprehensive build, so to speak, on Australian Christmas lighting. Another little thing, I'm using my FM transmitter. I've actually located him on top just to try and prevent any sort of weird signal interference. I just made a real quick little Coro box. I'm going to 3D print a better one up. This was just more of a quick test to set my FM signal out for the people to listen in their car radios. So with the differential receiver boards, they run cat cable out. We'll probably go over to this side over here. Here's one of my ammo boxes located inside the garden bed. Just unlocked him before. These are normally secured up. So it's just two power supplies in there. A couple of differential receiver boards. It's got a some F8, I think they're called, power distribution boards. One of the things I've tried to do for my display is limit the amount of power injection. I've been able to do that by using the receiver boards close to my props and limiting the amount of pixels which I'm driving. Like I said before, this is just a bit of a precursor for Christmas. I'm not running all my props at the moment, but you can probably see my wall tree there is running power injection in. So I've got data going into one of the first of the strings, goes up, data and power, and then I'm power injecting at the end of that string. I think it's got 168 nodes in that string, 4 strands. So it's 12 volt power and data in, goes up, down, zigzags up and down onto the 4th one, and it's just power injecting in. And I'm running these at 50% brightness, which is probably too bright, but it does give some really good sort of effects. So then we've got, that's also powering that differential receiver boards are also powering and feeding data to the house outline, and for Christmas it's going to feeding quite a few other props. Then we've got almost exactly the same over on the other side of the house, another ammo box. It's near identical setup, so won't bore you with the details in that one. Again, that's feeding sort of the props on this side of the house. That means I've been able to leave my cables nice and short, so it helps reduce voltage losses, etc. My spiral trees, should say, are fed also from those receiver boxes on both sides. Probably the next one I've got located is the ones in my garden bed, which is feeding the data and power just for my arches and sticks at the moment. Again, very similar setup to my other ones. 2 power supplies, 2 differential receiver boards. I've got a power distribution board there, the F8 one, because this is going to be using powering some more props at Christmas time, which I'm not using at the moment. Probably the next thing, just to give you a little bit more detail on, is my Tune 2 sign. Like most of these things, I think I've done some fairly comprehensive information on the Australian Christmas lighting. I'll try and put all the links below. This is just 4x2 P10 panels. You can't see, but in behind there's a Beaglebone Black with a Allen Hansen Octo Scroller, which the Beaglebone's running Falcon Pi Player to drive the P10 LED panels. There's just a little bit of tape I've put up, Halloween tape, to try to keep guests out of the front yard. And probably the last thing, which I touched on briefly before in other videos, is my projector. Now that's just being supplied via HDMI output from my Raspberry Pi. As I said, it was a bit of a last minute addition. When I do plan to use the projector for Christmas for a virtual Santa, but not in that location. That's why I haven't given it too much installation effort. Okay guys, that's been a quick behind the scenes of our Halloween light display. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments below. A lot of this information I think I've covered with some build threads on Australian Christmas lighting. I will put all the links, so to speak, in the comments in the section below. Thanks for watching guys. Bye.